Oh, really? We're gonna go ahead and get into that in a second in an article from my friend Landon Husley. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, dude. But he's with Wichita Life and he provides a lot of really cool commentary. I'm gonna let you in on this resource and this cool article he just wrote to give credibility where it's credit's due. So, before we get into all that though, please like, comment, subscribe, share. It really helps out small businesses like myself, being a realtor here locally, and helping the channel grow and helping more people see this kind of content, stay up to date with cool Wichita stuff, real estate stuff, and we'll go from there. But without all further ado, I'll go ahead and just get right into it and check out what Landon put together as part of his um, article that he wrote on how big Wichita is. Because if you're looking at what Wichita is like, this is what the email updates look like. I'd highly encourage you to go sign up for Landon's emails as well. It's Wichita Life is the name of it. He's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Google. He's all over the place. Provides a lot of really cool updates about Wichita and what Wichita's like. And he's a fellow friend and marketer. And I support and appreciate what he does for highlighting Wichita, what's going on. Whether you live here, don't live here, or looking into it, it's really cool to stay up to date on your city, what's going on with it, and that kind of thing. And one of the ones that I get a lot from people looking to live in Wichita is like, really, how big is Wichita? Because a lot of us say Wichita, Kansas, but in all reality, we might live in Derby, Maize, Andover, Goddard, Valley Center, Park City, somewhere like that. But we just tell people Wichita because people are like, Wichita, where's that? What is that? Well, we'll go ahead and get into that and talk about how big Wichita is really. And I'll give you kind of some of my insights and personal opinions and endeavors. But really, this is Landon's article, and I want to go over it just to give you kind of some resources for getting to know Wichita and what it's like on everything. So, we do have some cool air conditioned queue line buses. And since it was so hot out recently, it was just recently like triple digits and it's getting down to the 80s and 90s. But man, it's been hot here over the summer recently. When I say we get all the weather from like 110 all the way to -10, I mean it. And it is hot. So anyway, there's kind of some cool things like that the city of Wichita does. We got electric buses. We got a pretty decent queue line that runs up and down Douglas, which is our main corridor of everything. But how big is Wichita? So when you look at that, there's a few things you want to look at when you say that. There's like the city of Wichita itself, there's Sedgwick County, the greater Wichita area, and then also like the suburbs. So it kind of depends on what scale you're looking at. And if you look at like the map of Wichita, it's kind of funny because if you think about it, like we're kind of like a bullseye or like a target, with just a big circle with I-135 that runs up and down north to south here. We have US 400 or Kellogg runs east and west. And then we have all the surrounding major highways that go around it. Like this one's K96 is the name of it. So it's kind of some of these local terms and lingo that we use on everything. And you got 235 running over here on everything. Just depends on which side of town you're getting in. So a big thing with Wichita too is like West Wichita. This is West Wichita here. It's really one giant suburb, and it's got a certain culture and attitude and lifestyle, price points, features that go with it. So that's what most people consider like West Wichita. It gets a little bit into here where like West Street's at around 235. But generally, when people say West Wichita, what they're referring to is anything west of 235 here, north of Kellogg, and south of 96 here. So 96 kind of runs through here and then over this way. And that's like the big highway that goes up that way when people are referring to different parts of town. And then you have East Wichita, which is obviously on the east side of town over here. And there's a culture, there's a lifestyle that goes with it. But I would say there's a lot more pockets to this one with everything with like Bel Air's up in here, Park City areas up in here, Kechi, and you have Andover here. But all that's kind of considered East Wichita. But then obviously, you got anything east of 96. And there's a lot of different pockets and a lot of variations to these neighborhoods because this part of East Wichita is a lot older than West Wichita. A lot of this is like new money. This is old money. And when the city really started and developed, it centered around like the river. You can't really entirely see from this map, but the river, the Arkansas or Arkansas, however you wanted to say it around here, comes through the town here. And when you think about like when it was first settled and developed, a lot of the first settlers were right around here along the river and along Riverside area, which is right here in Delano. That's kind of where like a lot of the cowboys hung out, and then a lot of the richer people hung out over here. And then as the city continued to grow, College Hill is one of the oldest neighborhoods over here that has got some of the coolest, most historic homes. But then you kind of go like a street over or a block over, and it could be some rough parts area too, kind of just that mid-city feel of it. But all of that is east side, so when you say east side, that's a big term for like what part of the east side you're referring to on everything. And then you kind of have like the Midtown area, north area, and then you have south of Kellogg, whether you're over here by like the McConnell Air Force Base or Spirit Aero Systems is over here, and then our major airport on everything. And then you have kind of like the southeast part of town too, or like Hayesville goes into here and Derby over here. So if you're not real familiar with Wichita, that gives you kind of a lay of the land a little bit on everything. Gives you kind of some cultural background knowledge of it all. So when we're saying Wichita, it can mean a few different things: West Wichita, East Wichita, downtown area, north end, south end, depending on where you're going with everything and how you're looking at it. But one of the things to point out here is that Wichita is among the top 50 largest cities in the US. So we are actually a pretty big city, but we still kind of have a small town feel, or at least there's some of us that are holding on to that. I like to call it like a little big town, because it's a big city when you can see where we have 400,000 people from the 2019 estimate, made up of about 191,000 households on everything. So you can see like population size wise, like we're a pretty big city size wise, but since we're from Kansas and a lot of people come from small towns to Wichita, they bring with them kind of some of that small town attitude. And, a lot of Wichita people love Wichita, love living here, love staying here, and don't really get out of here much. And so they can have kind of a small town attitude a little bit. And they'll drive and they'll travel, like Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Colorado, anywhere that's within driving distance. We're Midwesterners, so we're like, oh, it's only a 14-hour drive. We'll just drive instead of flying places. So that gives you kind of an idea of the culture and the size of it all. And, demographics and population make a big difference. It's projected to go to 429,000 by 2035. But to give you an idea, that's just the city. That's not necessarily like we're mentioning the greater Wichita region or, Wichita MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area. Basically, it's like how big is the area completely on everything. Sedgwick County is the major, county that it's in right here, but then Butler County is the next one over that kind of surrounds it. Right here where Andover Road is at is where it starts to go into Andover on everything. And that's another major, city just right outside of Wichita that'd be considered in the Wichita area. Just depends on which of these smaller towns you'd want to be around or get around. We do have a good amount of what I would call large, higher end rural properties. So houses with acreage, with land that are really huge, really well built, have a lot of cool features like powered shops, garages, ponds, pools, four-wheeler tracks, driving, shooting ranges, all the things outdoors on everything. So that's something cool to consider about Wichita. Is it's not just the city of Wichita, it's a lot of the surrounding rural areas and some of the really cool properties that can come from there that were higher end big properties. And some of those are honestly like selling a piece of art as far as the value of them, the price of them, and the lifestyle of them that go with that, to give you an idea. So total population of the county is 516,000, by far the biggest of the counties in the area. Projected for 2040 to be like 605,000. So we're growing on everything as far as people go, whether that is, internal growth of, people just having more kids. But also I think there's a good amount of people that are migrating to our city based on like moving from like Colorado or California or Washington or other bigger, or even Florida, bigger markets, especially price point wise from a real estate perspective, moving to Wichita because it's more affordable, especially with people that can work remote. It's a very family oriented city, and there's a lot of people are moving back here, to be closer to family, have that slow paced lifestyle that's kind of small town. Literally, as you can see, it takes like 15-20 minutes to get anywhere within Wichita that you want to. So traffic's definitely not an issue. And we're just big enough to have kind of a big city feel, but small enough to have kind of small town values that go with this. So that's kind of our pitch, our appeal to people that want to live here. And if you look at the prices for the house, how amount of house you can get is pretty affordable, especially if you're looking to retire. I will say like our taxes are higher than like Oklahoma and Texas and some other areas like that on everything, but you kind of get what you pay for. We have very well taken care of roads compared to Oklahoma and Texas and some other, parks and features and things like that comparatively. So you kind of get what you pay for. Yeah, we have a little bit higher taxes, but you get a little bit better well-ran city with all that goes with it too. Greater Wichita area, if you kind of look at all the counties around us, Cedric's the main one. Then you have Butler to the east of us, Kingman and Reno to the west of us, Harvey's just north of us, and then Summers south of us. And then some of the others surroundings that McPherson and Marion, Harper, Cali all get pretty rural when you get down to that. But that gives you kind of an idea of the greater Wichita regional area on everything. Keep scrolling down, suburbs. We got a decent amount of suburbs. How do we compare to other cities in the Midwest to give you an idea? Kansas City is probably our closest sister city in Kansas. But what's interesting about it is if you look at the city and the greater area metro, KC is about the same size as Wichita, but then the greater metro area is way bigger on everything. We're pretty close to Des Moines and Tulsa size wise. I think we got a little bit different culture and feel to the city, which if you ever visit either one of those, you kind of know what I mean. But this gives you kind of an idea of how we compare size wise of the city and the greater metro area on this. Landon did a really great job of putting together stats and data on this. Data stat nerd like me loves stuff like this to give you an idea of just how big is Wichita. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully that helps you get a better idea of how big Wichita is really. And, go check out Landon with Wichita Life. He puts out a lot of really cool content and timely content, like how big is Wichita? What's it like? And, I really appreciate what he does to help grow our city, celebrate our city, see what's going on here. And, if it has anything to do real estate wise, I'd be happy to help you with. Go check out some of my other videos to learn about Wichita and Wichita real estate. If you'd like to talk to me directly, go ahead and just sign up on my website, which there should be some links below on everything. And, I'd be happy to help you with whatever real estate needs you have, Wichita questions you have, that kind of thing. And I appreciate watching as always. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. And we will talk with you guys later. See ya.